Okay? All right. Now that I've gone through a good majority of my time, I have about 15 minutes. We're going to have a blast for these next 15 minutes, okay? I want to talk to you guys tonight about a question that we seem to ask ourselves about everything. And that question is, what if I'm not ready? So, in the church, I feel like as Christians, we second guess, we question the callings on our lives, or we question the things we feel like we should be doing, okay? How many of us in this room, you don't have to answer, but just think about it, how many of us have heard from God, or you've had that feeling before, or you know you should do something, and your first thought is, what if I'm not ready? Right? I've had that feeling so many times. What if I'm not ready? We often, when we have this thought, we think we know better than God, right? If God's telling us, go talk to this person, and we say, I'm not ready, that's us saying, no, I know me better than you know me, right? For some reason, we think that we can do better than God can do for us. We think it will be better for ourselves if we follow our own feelings and our own instincts, and when God's telling you to do something, it's not the case to follow your own feelings. If you're like me, then some of us never feel like we're ready to move into something. Some of us don't move into anything or step into anything different unless there's no other option. Okay? I'm talking about myself here, okay? So I was fine with coming to church. I've always been a pastor's kid. I was fine with coming to church and going to Sunday school and having no responsibilities, and it was great. I was fine with playing piano when Cody was here, and I could still be in the background. I didn't have to sing. I could just play piano. No one really noticed if I messed up. No one really looked at me. It was fantastic. I loved it. I was perfectly fine with it. I was perfectly content with not leading and with not speaking. You guys know that? But I can also tell you that I've never grown so much so fast than when I was forced, or whenever I was the only option in a moment where I needed to step into something. We're humans, if you didn't know, and we like to be comfortable, right? We like feeling content, and we like feeling safe, and we like to know what we're supposed to be doing and when we're supposed to be doing it, and we like to know that we're good at it. That's why we like that comfort zone. We like to stay in there because we know we can do that. We know we can come to church and sit in a pew and listen. We're great at listening. We know, well, some of us, we know we can take notes. That's easy. No one has to read your notes. That's perfect. Take your notes in your pew. You're great at it, right? We know that we can play the piano for somebody in the background. No one's going to see us. It's fine. It's perfect. We're comfortable with it. We like to have a place where we belong. And when you're in your little bubble of comfort, you feel like you belong there, right? You ever felt that? You're just so comfortable and content to stay in this one spot. But there's a flip side to that contentment. For most of us, at least I'm speaking for myself again, we can never stay content for too long. There's a part of us that always wants to be better and do better. Even if we're in that comfort zone and we're in that contentment, we can never get away from that spiritual discontent, right? So you can be in your little comfort zone, your little bubble, but there's always going to be that part of you that says, I want to be better. I want to do more. And you can push that down and be like, no, I am staying here. That's scary. It's a scary thought to say I need to do something different, right? You can stay in your comfort zone, and that's fine, and you'll be fine, but you'll always be discontented. In my education classes at school, I'm going to school for English education, they teach us that the best learning happens in discomfort. So when you are feeling confused or when you're feeling like you're behind, that's when your best learning is happening. And I'm sure we've all gone through school, we've all felt that at a time, and it's frustrating. That frustration, they've taught us, they've studied it in so many students, that frustration propels you forward. You learn so much when you're frustrated, when you feel like you don't know what's going on, when you can't understand. But you need a balance, is what they tell us. You need a balance. You can't just throw someone into calculus if they're in 5th grade math and they've never taken anything but 5th grade math. You can't throw somebody in that and expect them to learn it. You can't throw somebody into leading worship who's never been on a stage before. You can't take a new Christian who's been going to church for 1 week, they've been saved for 1 week, and they're just starting out, and expect them to preach a sermon. We need to be uncomfortable sometimes, but we also need to be taught. Sometimes, point blank, you're not ready. Sometimes you're not ready. Some of us aren't ready to, I would say most of us, myself included, aren't ready to go out and start a mega church. We're not Stephen Furtick. We're not Craig Rochelle. We're not starting Life Church, right? We're not ready for that. Some of us aren't even ready to volunteer in our own church. Some of us aren't ready. But if you wait until you feel ready, you're never going to do it. We're never ready to feel uncomfortable. That's the point of it. We're never ready to feel uncomfortable. We're never ready for the possibility of failure. But God is always ready. God is always ready for us to feel uncomfortable. Doesn't it feel like that sometimes? He's like, just take this small step. And then when you take that small step, he's like, okay, here you go. And he pushes you a little bit farther and you're like, oh, I didn't expect this. He's ready for us to feel uncomfortable because he knows that in that discomfort, that's when our learning starts. That's when our growth happens. When we step out of that bubble that keeps us this way, we're able to grow. So I'm going to read John 15:16, if I can find it. How have you guys been? Pretty good? It's always so awkward. I don't know what you're supposed to do when you find this. Okay. So the Bible says in John 15:16, you didn't choose me, I chose you. I appointed you to go and produce lasting fruit so that the Father will give you whatever you ask for using my name. So it says it in the Bible, you didn't choose me, I chose you. I placed this calling on your life. Maybe you're not ready, but I've chosen you to do great things. Maybe you're scared, but I've chosen you to do great things. How many of us can say that when we've done things in the church or something that God has told us to do, it wasn't something that we would have chosen to do on our own? So many times. It's not something I would have chosen to do on my own. But that doesn't matter, because God chose us. He chose each and every one of us for a specific purpose. So, here are the questions. What if I'm not ready? What if I fail? What if I look foolish? What if I'm wrong? What if I think this is what God's telling me to do, but I'm misguided, I'm wrong? What if? We're going to read 1 Corinthians 26 through 29. 26 through 29. It says, remember, dear brothers and sisters, that few of you were wise in the world's eyes or powerful or wealthy when God called you. Instead, God chose things the world considers foolish in order to shame those who think they are wise. and he chose things that are powerless to shame those who are powerful. God chose things despised by the world, things counted as nothing at all, and used them to bring to nothing what the world considers important. As a result, no one can ever boast in the presence of God. So the answer is, you might fail. You might be misguided. You might look foolish, and you might not be ready for where you're eventually going. But when God has called you to step out into something, he's going to be there with you. If he's called you to do it, he's going to do it. It's not us stepping out by ourselves into something. Now, maybe if you're misguided in what you think, sometimes it is. That's why we need to continually be in our word and be praying. We need to be sure sometimes. But you'll never know unless you make that step. That's the hardest part. Being here and feeling that tug in your heart, I need to do this. And not knowing if it's right, or not knowing if you're ready, or not knowing if you're going to be any good at it. Most of the time, the thing we think we want to do and who we think we want to be are very different from where we end up. Basically, to kind of wrap this whole thing up, you will never feel ready. I say never. Maybe some people are very sure of themselves. Personally, I've never felt ready for anything that I've stepped into. It may take time for you to feel like you're doing the right thing, or it may take time for you to see results. It may take time for you to think you deserve it. You have to step out. You have to step out and you have to say, God, this is in your hands. And I truly believe if you have a relationship with God, I don't believe that he would put you in a situation to humiliate you. I don't think he would put you in a situation to hurt you. I think sometimes when we step out into things, we do get a little humiliated by people, or we do get hurt by people. But that's not God's doing. That's not what he wants from you. He wants you to trust him. People are going to say and do whatever people are going to say and do, whether you're doing the right thing or you're not. But when you know that what you're doing is what God has called you to do, when you know that what you're doing and where you're going is where you're supposed to be, it doesn't matter what those people say. Now, if you're like me, it does matter what those people say, but you can move past it because you know that this is what God has called you to do. So I don't know if anyone needed to hear this tonight, but if you did, if you've been thinking about maybe I need to do this, and you've been saying, no, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, I can't. Take that first step. The good thing about volunteering for things in church is that there are a lot of people around you that can help you if you're not sure or if you're not confident in what you're doing. That's what pastor is for, right? It's so weird. Call him pastor, not dad. Anyway, that's what he's there for, right? If you have a question, or if you're saying, I feel like I should do this, there are people you can talk to. We try to do it all on our own, all the time. But we don't need to. So I want to encourage you guys to take that first step. Change something in your life, because if nothing in your life is changing, then how are you going to grow? How are you going to get to that person that you want to be? And actually, how are you going to get to that person you don't even know you want to be? Right? So thank you guys. That's all I have for tonight, but I just want to encourage you guys. You know, that's what I try to do on Wednesdays is encourage you, because it's a long week, right? Midweek is difficult. Everybody's tired. It's hard. But I just hope I'm encouraging you guys to believe and trust in God, because that's all I can say. That's all I